By late morning, the heat over downtown Brookstone shimmered against the glass towers, and Emily Martins, sweaty, exhausted, clinging to a resume she'd rewritten a dozen times, pushed open the doors of a building she believed was a small print shop. Instead, she stepped into a lobby of marble floors, cold air, and people who looked like they owned the world. She hesitated, but a receptionist in a navy suit snapped, "If you're here for the interview, take a seat. Don't touch anything." Emily sat, stomach tight, until the elevator opened and a man walked out. Tall, crisp suit, quiet authority. The staff straightened instantly. He stopped when he saw her. "You're the applicant?" he asked, voice low, controlled. "Yes, sir," she whispered. He glanced at her stained resume, then at her trembling hands. "You do realize this is Parker Technologies?" Emily swallowed hard. I thought this was Parker Print." Beat of silence. His eyes narrowed, not unkind, but curious in a way that made Emily's pulse trip. "You came to the wrong place," he said. "But since you're already here, let's see what you've got." And just like that, the door she never meant to open became the one that would change everything. Want more powerful stories like this? Like the video and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales so you never miss the next chapter. The moment Emily followed the CEO, Jeff Parker, into the glass-walled conference room, her heartbeat matched the ticking clock on the wall. Every step felt too loud, too revealing, as if the polished floor itself saw she didn't belong. But Jeff didn't look back. He simply sat, folded his hands and said, "Tell me why you walked into my building and acted like you had a right to be here." His tone wasn't cruel, just unreadable. And that made it worse. "I needed the job," she said quietly. "Maybe I needed a miracle even more." Jeff didn't smile. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, studying her messy hair, the frayed blazer sleeve she kept tugging down, and the stubborn spark in her eyes that refused to dim even though fear pressed against her ribs. Before he could respond, the glass door slid open. Clara, his senior executive assistant, stepped inside. Her heels clicked with the confidence of someone who'd never been ignored in her entire life. She glanced at Emily with a look that carried years of quiet cruelty. "You're meeting with her?" Clara asked. "Yes," Jeff replied. Clara folded her arms. "Sir, we need qualified staff, not." He cut her off with a single glance. But the damage was already done. Emily felt the sting, sharp and familiar, like every time the world reminded her she was too small for the spaces she entered. Jeff turned back to her. "You said you wanted a chance. Fine. 1 week. Prove you deserve the job." Clara's eyes widened. "Sir." "End of discussion," Jeff said calmly. That was the moment everything changed. On her first day as his secretary, the office felt like a different planet. People spoke in acronyms she didn't understand. Screens flashed with numbers and charts she had never seen. Phones rang in an endless cycle. Yet somehow Emily tried anyway. She knocked over a stack of folders. She printed 40 copies of the wrong document. She spilled coffee on her own desk. Not Jeff's, thankfully. But she also greeted every person who walked by, even when they ignored her. She offered to help when someone sighed too loudly. She apologized when she didn't need to. She stayed late to memorize schedules no one had patience to explain. And Jeff noticed. He never praised her, but in the quiet moments between meetings, he'd glance over, almost amused, as if he couldn't understand why a girl who didn't belong in his world refused to leave it. What he didn't know was that someone else noticed her too. Someone who wasn't amused at all. Clara. To her, Emily wasn't just unqualified. She was an insult, a threat to order, a reminder that someone who hadn't earned a place on the upper floors was now sitting too close to the CEO. So Clara began her campaign. Started small. Lost message here. A schedule change she forgot to tell Emily about. A sarcastic comment disguised as advice. But soon it grew sharper. "That blouse is too cheap for this floor. You're slowing the entire department down. Jeff only hired you because he felt pity." Emily tried to ignore it. She tried to focus on her work, on learning faster, on breathing through the pressure. But some wounds didn't heal quietly. Some words lingered like bruises beneath clothing. One evening, after the office lights dimmed and only the city glow remained, Emily stayed behind, rewriting the next day's schedule for the third time. Her hands were shaking. She didn't want Jeff to see the cracks forming. Clara stepped in, arms crossed. "You won't last the week," she said sharply. "Someone like you never does." Emily swallowed. "I'm trying my best." "That's the problem," Clara replied. "Your best still isn't enough." Emily's voice trembled. "Why does it bother you so much that I'm here?" "Because I earned my place," Clara said coldly. "And you walked in by accident." For a moment, silence hovered like smoke. Then Emily whispered, "Maybe accidents are just chances no one expected." Clara's eyes narrowed. "Not here. This world doesn't reward chance. It crushes it." She walked out before Emily could respond. Emily sat alone, her eyes burning, not from tears, but from the harsh truth of a world built to keep people like her outside. The next morning, the storm finally broke. Jeff entered the office early, jacket over his shoulder, coffee in hand. He paused when he saw Emily's desk empty. Clara approached with forced sweetness. "She quit." He didn't blink. "Why?" "Couldn't handle the pressure," Clara replied. "I'm sure someone like her wasn't meant for this environment." Jeff's voice didn't rise. Simply dropped lower, colder. "Show me the messages you forwarded. Show me the schedule changes. Show me the reports she supposedly mishandled." Clara stiffened. "Sir, I don't think." "That's right," Jeff interrupted. "You didn't think I was paying attention." He froze. He stepped closer. "Emily didn't quit. You pushed her. Now prove me wrong." Clara's throat tightened. She looked away. "Sir, I was only trying to protect the company," Jeff finished. "Or your ego." She said nothing. Before he could continue, the elevator doors opened, and Emily stepped out, clutching 2 cups of coffee, breathless from rushing up 17 floors. "Sorry I'm late," she said softly. "The bus broke down." Jeff turned to her. Relief flickered in his face before he hid it. "You're not late." Clara paled. Jeff looked directly at her. "We will talk in my office. Now." The confrontation was not loud. Jeff didn't need volume to create impact. Inside his office, he set the evidence on the table. The emails she rerouted, the tasks she reassigned without permission, the meeting she sabotaged by giving Emily the wrong time. Clara tried to defend herself. "She didn't fit our standards." "Our standards," Jeff said sharply, "do not include cruelty." She exhaled shakily. "Sir, You're dismissed." The words hit like a verdict. Her face drained of color. "Fired. Effective immediately," Jeff said. "Security will escort you to collect your things." For the first time since Emily had met her, Clara looked small, like someone who suddenly understood the weight of her own choices. As she left his office, her voice trembled. "You're ruining a decade of service for a girl who doesn't belong here." Jeff didn't look up. "She belongs here more than you ever did." The door closed behind her. And justice, quiet, sharp, and long overdue, settled into the room. But the story didn't end with Clara. Over the next weeks, Emily's growth became undeniable. She learned the systems. She mastered the schedules. She built trust with colleagues who once ignored her. The office began to feel less like an enemy and more like a world she could shape piece by piece. One afternoon, while they prepared for a board meeting, Jeff glanced at her notes and paused. "You organized this?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Sorry if something's wrong." "Nothing's wrong," he replied. "It's better than mine." She looked away, a small smile forming despite herself. After the meeting, he lingered near her desk. "Emily." "Yes. You know you weren't hired by mistake." She blinked in surprise. "But you said it." "I lied," he said simply. "Because I wanted to see what you would do with the chance." Her breath caught. "And what did I do?" "You surprised me," he said. "Every day." Their eyes met. Not romantically, not dramatically, but honestly. For the first time, she saw warmth behind the guarded exterior he always wore. Weeks later, the company held an event to introduce new departmental leads. Emily stood near the back, content just to watch, until Jeff called her name. "Join me up here." The room turned. Colleagues whispered. Managers blinked in confusion. Emily stepped forward slowly, unsure what was happening. Jeff continued. "This company values resilience, integrity, and people who rise even when no one expects them to. Today we recognize someone who showed all three." He looked at her, not as a boss, but as someone who finally saw her worth fully. "Congratulations, Emily. You're our new operations coordinator." Applause filled the hall. For the first time in her life, Emily didn't feel like she was standing in the wrong place. She felt like she had arrived where she was meant to be. Yet the most satisfying moment came later, when she walked past the lobby and saw Clara being escorted out with a box of belongings, furious tears in her eyes. Clara glared at her. "You think you won." Emily didn't raise her voice. She didn't gloat. She simply said, "No. I think I finally stopped losing." Clara looked away, defeated. And Emily walked back into the elevator, the same place where everything started, knowing she had earned her victory. In the weeks that followed, the building that once felt too large for Emily slowly became a place where her footsteps no longer echoed alone. People greeted her differently now, not because of her new title, but because they finally saw the steadiness she carried long before anyone recognized it. And with every small victory, she learned something she had never allowed herself to believe. Strength doesn't appear when life becomes easy. It grows quietly in the moments no one applauds. One afternoon, as she walked past the same lobby where her story began, she caught her reflection in the mirrored wall. The girl who once clutched a wrinkled resume now stood with calm resolve. Not perfect, not fearless, but no longer hiding from the world that once intimidated her. Jeff joined her at the elevator, carrying the quiet gratitude of someone whose own walls had started to soften. "You changed more than you realize," he said. She smiled, not for approval, but because she finally understood the truth. The real turning point was never the job or the conflict, or even the justice she earned. It was the moment she refused to disappear. As the elevator doors closed, the city lights flickered across the glass, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of a wider horizon waiting ahead. If this journey moved you, please like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales so our stories can continue to reach more hearts.